Moving on to topic 3, John, what is your second topic?
So my second topic was I noticed that James Gunn was starting to make big moves on his cinematic universe for the DC. And my question is, cinematic DC versus cinematic Marvel. Marvel has taken quite a dip in the last couple years after Infinity Wars. And they've had hits, but they've also had some miss. And there have been times where I've watched movies, I'm like, why did they waste money on this? Like, I think this is stupid. This is the dumbest movie ever. And then there's been some that they've come out with, I'm like, they finally get it. They're going in the right direction. And then it's just a cycle of a vicious cycle. And I feel like the multiverse cycle has not been very good. So I'm wondering, with James Gunn's DC, because I think Blue Beetle is in the cinematic universe.
I think I remember hearing that.
I think both him and the lead actor said, yes, I'm in
Gotcha.
in there.
Okay.
So I could be wrong, but I feel like I've heard or read something where James Gunn's like, yes, he is in the cinematic universe.
Okay.
And I've heard Nate Fillion is going to be Guy Gardner, which I'm excited about because I love Nate Fillion. And I'm just wondering who is going to be the next. I think the next Superman's been announced.
They have their Superman cast, yeah.
And I've also been seeing that, Jensen Ackland or whatever from Supernatural, Dean, has been, who knows if it's true or not, been casted as Batman. But, yeah, he's the voice of Batman in the animated, but is he going to actually be Batman? Or is it going to be Alan Rickman, who plays Reacher? If you've watched him from the past, Blue Mountain State, Thad. So I'm just wondering, is James Gunn gonna do what Disney did early with Marvel and make a whole new cinematic universe, and it finally reached the pinnacle of what it should have been years ago?
That is a very interesting question. I think this might be a revisit for us on the podcast in terms of talking about it. I think I remember talking about the new reboot and stuff like that, and to be honest, it was so long ago, or I just wiped it from my brain. I do not remember what I said there, so maybe this is different.
Well, I mean, now it's kind of we're much more closer to it, because now he's actually getting people to sign on, like big name actors and actresses. So it's, back then it was kind of just like, oh, what do you think he'll do? Now it's kind of like, we can kind of start putting pieces together because we know the actors and actresses. I'm not 100% sure on who all the actresses and actors are, but the two that I do know, they're fairly well known now. Like Jolo is from Cobra Kai, and his stock is just rising because
was that Beetle.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, his name is Jolo.
Cool.
And I personally loved it. I thought it was a great movie.
So, to be honest, and this is where my opinion may lack, I haven't watched a DC movie in quite some time. I didn't watch Aquaman 2. I did not watch Blue Beetle. I have watched, and granted this is where it gets a little gray because they're kind of their own thing, did watch Joker. Did watch The Batman.
That was really good.
Yes, The Batman was great. Long, but great.
It was very good.
Joker I enjoyed. I have that weird, what's the morbid curiosity for Joker 2. I'm like, this looks bad, but I like the first one.
Yeah,
I think I'll go see
it. I liked the premise of the first one, but I didn't like it.
Oh, no, okay, that's bad.
I liked the premise of it.
Yeah.
It was a good premise.
So my opinion on the DC movies is interesting, because there's not a lot of want right there to see those types of things, and I don't know if it's just my more leaning towards the Marvel side, obviously with their successes as you talked about, and the pop culture there, obviously, being a fan of the 90s cartoons and Marvel vs. Capcom and stuff like that, like those were characters I connected with more. But granted, I've loved like the Injustice series from NetherRealm.
Yeah,
absolutely love those, and the Batman movies from our childhood
throughout
have all been good.
Yeah,
or pretty good.
Some have been misses. Most of them are good.
Yeah. I like the cheesy ones. Batman Forever, still one of my favorites, even though it's cheesy as hell. Yeah. So yeah, it's a weird thing with Gunn. I have faith that Gunn is going to do a good job. You mentioned once again before podcasts, like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
Like obviously he did a great job with that. Characters we had no idea about, unless you were super hardcore in terms of comics.
Did he do all three?
He did all three, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And all three were just great. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 2, while good, I thought it was a little bit of a repeat of the first one in terms of the basic story elements, but it was still good. And then, 3 was fantastic. And Kate will never watch that movie because of reasons. But it was very good. So, like, obviously he has the track record of taking, not to say Superman and these other characters, at least in the big Justice League scenario, are like nobodies like the Guardians were.
Right.
But you can take these cast of characters like, I don't fucking know. What's Superman's Daily Planet?
Persona?
No, the reporter that he's got with him, his like good friend.
Oh,
he's not a superhero, obviously.
Something Stewart.
Is this? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But like, you could take
Jimmy.
Thank you. You could take these secondary, tertiary characters. I think James Gunn can do a decent job with these characters. Not that Jimmy Olsen ever went to be a superhero, to my knowledge.
So actually, Jimmy Olsen what was it in the CW universe with Kara, Supergirl. I think he became was it Guardian?
Oh.
So he kind of became a superhero without powers.
Well, then besides the main characters, like I think he could take these characters who don't have a lot of backing behind them or general knowledge or fandom behind them, and he could do good stuff with them.
Yeah.
And he's good. Obviously, did good stories with the Guardians, so he can probably craft some good stories with our main Justice League members.
Right.
Now, in terms of your question of like, can they do what Marvel did? It's interesting because there's a lot of factors. The superhero fatigue could be one, and that's a question of like, has Marvel failed, succeeded? Is that a reason?
Could it be we don't like it anymore because we've had enough of it?
Right, and I certainly reached that point, but then again, I've gone and watched all of them. I haven't watched all of the shows. Like, I'm missing Echo. I know Agatha all along just started recently. X-Men 97 I loved, but I'm in this weird dumb thing, John, where I'll start something. I'm like, I love it, and then I never go back to it.
100%. I've been there. I've done that. I still kind of do that with certain things. But there are the one shows that I'm like super loyal to.
Sure.
But I get that 100%.
Okay. So, like, I've been hit or miss on the secondary products that Marvel's put out. But in terms of movies, I've seen
almost all of them.
All of them from 4 and 5's phases.
Right.
Pretty sure. Yes. And we've done our reviews and talked about those on the podcast as well. So look at the backlog. So where was I going at this point? Oh, so can they do what Marvel did? There's multiple factors. The superhero fatigue is a hill to climb.
Yeah, it is.
And then what we saw with the Snyderverse, they obviously tried to play catch up. Let's throw them all together quickly and not do what Marvel did of solo film, Avengers moment. And then go back,
Right.
It seems from the little information I know of Gunn's plan is it would be solo film.
So following the same trajectory, which is not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea. I'm scared. Not scared. I don't know if it works. But we've already seen what Snyder did with the rushing of it.
That didn't work.
And it didn't work. Now, granted, hindsight, looking back, I didn't care for Superman Returns. Granted, washed over my head until the finale of it.
Right.
Did you see that movie?
It was Henry Cavill's first one?
Yeah, with Zod.
I loved Henry Cavill.
Oh, no,
Superman.
I loved him.
So,
you saw the movie, though.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so, sorry. It washed over me everything that happened in that movie until the end where he's like, ah! And just snaps his neck. And I'm like, what?
Well, yeah. Because I think, and the good thing is when they follow comics, I like it. And that was a comic moment.
Sure. No, to me, that was just my only memorable thing from it. So I didn't care for Superman Returns. Then you got... What else? What the fuck was in the Snyderverse? Aquaman I enjoyed.
I liked the first one. The second one... I did watch the second one. The second one was a little iffy.
Sure.
It was good, though.
Okay.
But it was kind of iffy. I watched Blue Beetle. I loved Blue Beetle. I thought it was hilarious. I mean, I love George Lopez. He was the comic relief. So,
okay.
But he actually had a bigger part than most people would think he had.
Sure. So I was talking about that Snyder run.
Yeah.
So like Superman Returns, personally, I didn't care for. Aquaman, I don't think was next. I think it was Batman versus Superman.
I think so.
There was
Wonder Woman was one of those, right?
Wonder Woman. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Wonder Woman was great.
That was after Batman versus
It was
Superman,
after Batman.
I think so. Who knows?
It might have been. I think you're right because they introduced them both, and then we learned about Wonder Woman, I think, and then it was the Justice League.
Yeah. So Batman vs Superman, I think I liked parts of it. Wonder Woman, I thought was great.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Gal did fantastic with that.
Yeah, so good.
Then there was Justice League. Now, Justice League, I know, gets a lot of shit because they tried to do too much at one point. I agree. However, I will say in terms of a moment,
it was good.
And putting all those people together,
it was really good.
Minus Cyborg, I thought he was a little lacking. Fantastic.
I think they should have given a better actor the role.
No, I was fine with the actor, but that's fair.
I didn't connect with the actor. Not saying he was a bad actor.
Sure.
Just didn't connect with him. I loved that. I wish we would have gotten more of a story from him. Like, not just he's now Cyborg.
Sure.
Make him Cyborg.
Now, one day I did decide I'm going to torture myself.
Did you watch the Snyderverse?
I did watch the Snyder Cut.
I did too.
What the fuck was I thinking? God, there was, I appreciated that they went more in depth with stuff. But also at the same time, I did not appreciate that they went more in depth with stuff. I'm like,
It is not like Lord of the Rings Extended.
Which is a waste of time in my opinion. Hot take.
I
didn't think there was anything in the extended cuts of Lord of the Rings that added anything. Is your phone ringing?
I think so.
My phone ringing.
Yeah, it's my phone.
Okay. No worries.
'Tis the wife.
Oh, we'll answer it.
Nah, it's fine.
What do you mean, no, it's fine? I can edit things out.
Let's
We're
calls
not
back.
lying, brother.
If she calls back.
Oh, my God.
I told her 9:00, so that's probably why she's calling. But if she calls back, I'll answer.
Anyways,
The Snyderverse.
Snyderverse cut. Oh, boy.
It was a lot. I personally also thought Mother Box is such a hard concept because, those characters, nobody knows anything about. The new gods versus the old gods. Even in the DC universe, and I'm a DC fanatic, I barely know those characters, and I barely Darkseid is the only one I know, and you bring in a bad character, you bring in a character that nobody knows. Steppenwolf, right? Yeah, sorry, I shouldn't say nobody. I should say the common person does not know. And I am a DC fanatic, and I didn't even know who this guy was. But let's flip over to Marvel. Their first big team up. Who was it?
The villain? Loki.
Everybody knows who Loki is. Second, who's the second one?
Ultron.
Ultron's much more well known, but not super well known. But he's well known. Third, who's the
Thanos.
third?
Thanos and his heinous anus.
Everybody knows Thanos.
Which, granted, they had to build to him.
Exactly. Yeah. But everybody knew who he was.
At that point, yes.
Even beforehand, if you say who's one of Marvel's big bads, and a Marvel person who reads Marvel would say Thanos. And people who know comics and know superheroes, Thanos is a bad guy. they just know. Wolf and whoever?
Steppenwolf.
Steppenwolf. I don't even know. I don't know this guy. But, like, New Gods was just... I understand you were trying to set up for Darkseid, which...
Cool.
Spoiler alert, was one of the post scenes.
Yep.
But, like, you should have just... you should have never went with Darkseid. If that... Like, you shouldn't... Like, if you weren't going to go with Steppenwolf, you shouldn't have done Darkseid. Darkseid is Thanos. So, like, that needed to be more built. What you should have done is you should have done... If you were going to rush it, I would have loved to see either Injustice. That would have been great, because in that movie, again, spoiler alert. You know what? It's not even a spoiler alert. You know, it's been out for a couple of years.
Play Injustice.
Yeah. But, like, having... Like, when they raised Superman from the dead...
Yeah.
That would have been the perfect plot to make him evil.
Sure.
And then he just kills what's his face, the guy I don't know,
Joker.
and then
Steppenwolf. Okay, yeah.
And then he is the bad guy. But also I would have loved to see it scrap the whole New Gods thing and it just be Injustice. That would have been really cool. And I think it would have been a better story. I just think Steppenwolf was not a good story.
Sure, I agree. Yeah, Injustice would have been cool. It's just that weird gray area where you're like, well, the game's just told all this. Do we just do the same exact thing? And then people are like, oh, this is the same thing as that. You didn't change anything.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And then for the general audience, it's like, wait, isn't Superman supposed to be a good guy? And you want to sell Superman merch. So it's like, do we commit to that right away as our opening story? But anyways, Snyder rushed a lot of it. Yeah. So obviously that approach, hindsight, didn't work.
2020.
Times, certain things I enjoyed of it. We're not going to talk about Suicide Squad.
I never watched it.
Oh, boy.
I've heard really good things, but I just didn't watch it.
So Suicide Squad 1, it doesn't leave warm feelings in my tummy. I don't think it's as much of a trash heap as people make it.
Yeah.
But it's nothing I would look and search out to watch again.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Suicide Squad 2, reboot / we're continuing this awkwardness.
Yeah.
And that was James Gunn, so we could pull this Suicide Squad story together.
They all could be in we could have Margot Robbie in this universe.
Oh, I meant just like his track record. We could use this as evidence of how do we think he's going to do down the road? Because this was James Gunn.
Yeah.
So watching it, it's a lot of characters, and I think he does a good job of juggling a lot of characters. And towards the end, that team, I'd say, does a decent job. However, I don't think anything really memorable came out of it.
I agree.
Except for John Cena.
Yes.
Which they've made a show about, but I haven't seen
2.
it. Which is weird, John, that season 1's not canon in James Gunn's universe, but season 2 is. So it's already a bumpy, rocky road of what's canon? What's not canon? Yeah. What are we doing here?
Well, also, Marvel in the early universe, before Blade, with Blade, that also wasn't canon.
That wasn't a cinematic universe either, though.
Yeah.
At that point,
but
we weren't doing this continuous storyline. Everything was separate.
Right.
Blade, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that. You could also argue that is the same thing that's going on here because different people were owning different IPs.
Yeah, true.
But now, finally, what they did in one of the newest movies is they brought and tied all that together, which I was really happy about and
Beetle?
I loved. Huh?
Beetle, they tied it together?
No. Marvel.
Oh, sorry, Marvel. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't seen the movie.
Things happened. Check out the Deadpool review.
Yes. Oh, okay, then you know. Yeah. So I thought it was great that they did that, and I'm really hoping that James Gunn finds a way to do that. And I'm not saying he's going to do it right off the bat. I'm not going to say he's going to do it right away in any shape or form. And if he does, I would say, hey, it's a little foolish.
You don't need to do that. Or bring everything old. He can start fresh. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's just right now to say, oh, this is in.
That makes it confusing.
It's confusing.
It really, really does. I'm hoping that with somebody who has worked in a successful template can make DC successful. Because right now, I mean, I've gone through like I started going to school for marketing and for business, and just like in a marketing aspect, I see that this is like the turn of where it's okay, we're good. It's the turn of like, okay, it was Marvel on top. Now this is the pivotal moment where DC could come out on top if it's done.
They
correctly.
need a big hitter. Yeah, they need to do it well if they want to.
Yeah. And Flash was not it. Flash
didn't see that either.
Sucked. It was basically Flashpoint from a different vantage point, and I was so like, you got to be shitting me. This is so stupid.
And I want to watch that because I've heard there's a lot of fun moments in it.
So fun.
But yeah, I haven't gotten into it.
I also don't like Ezra Miller.
I liked them, but then they have done, they've messed up IRL. It's like,
I personally don't think they did Barry justice.
No, I liked their interpretation of it. I also liked CW guys. He did fantastic.
Yes, he was just different. He was a different Barry. Like, personally, I thought Barry was more...
Grant Gustin, is that his name?
Yes, Grant Gustin. I thought Grant Gustin did the best Barry Allen on TV. He was great. Absolutely loved The Flash on TV. Actor-wise, for the movie, I do think they should have picked somebody other than Ezra Miller. And even for, like, the Justice League, I don't think they... Like, when I heard that they picked Ezra, I was like, no. I'm sorry, no. This is not who I would, like... Because I've seen him in his other roles, and just... What I know Barry to be, like, comic-wise, TV-wise, media-wise, he's a jokester. He's like a Spider-Man.
Sure.
He can be serious, and he usually does go serious when he needs to. Sometimes he's the voice of reason, but for the most part, he jokes around, and he's like one of the gift of gab type guys.
He had moments of that, but then he was also the social awkward character. Like, I think in the Snyder Cut, they gave him a little bit more... Well, him, Barry. Him a little bit more of goofiness. Like, remember the dog shop stuff?
Oh, I don't.
Oh, he was applying for jobs.
Right.
I think it was.
Right.
And he goes into this, like, pet grooming thing. And there's crime that happens outside. And everybody's like, oh. And he's like... and like whips around and saves it, and then he's in the dogs and like, oh, this is great. I think
yeah.
So I think that helped a little bit, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it just, I've never seen Barry as awkward. Like, I've seen Barry as confident. Like, yes, unsure of yourself. Everybody's unsure of themselves. But like watching Gus's interpretation of him, I never thought Barry was like super uber insecure about even talking to a woman. Like, he talked to Iris normally. It's just he didn't know how to tell her he loved her.
Right.
With this person in the movie, Ezra, I felt his interpretation and portrayal interpretation and portrayal of Barry was not to the accuracy of who I believe Barry is.
I mean, that's part of the actor's portrayal. That's also the direction of the studio and the director there. So, like, the actor can only do so much, but that's fair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also it's just Barry's blonde. Sorry.
It has to be blonde.
I'm sorry. I am one of those people. It's like when I heard someone was saying that Michael B. Jordan was going to be Superman, I was going to be like, okay, that sounds kind of fun, but I'm hoping they're not saying that he's the Superman, because that, I'm sorry, canonically, just he's got to be from a different universe.
But also, think about it. It's a different story.
Yeah.
A different take on the story.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Yeah.
He was Human Torch, too. Human Torch isn't black in the comics.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, if it's from a different universe and having that perspective, 100% I'm okay with it. But
it's a movie, so it could be.
But at that point, I was just like, wait a minute. Like, and this is probably most comic nerds are like, well, no, he's supposed to be this. And it's like getting over that and then coming to the realization of like, well, he's just from a different universe. Whatever. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. Like, stop moaning about it. But, yeah. So, but like with the portrayal of this latest one,
fair.
I had an image and it did not meet it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I did like the Supergirl that they brought in though. I thought she was a good portrayal.
Oh, and the second or the Flash's own movie, the Flashpoint movie. Oh,
yeah,
good.
I thought she was a really good one.
Cool.
But I'm very excited for this. I'm hoping because I am a DC nerd at heart, not a Marvel nerd. I love what Marvel has done, and I love how they've set everything up and kind of like I love competition. So it makes other people have to do better. So right now, sure. Marvel is 100% the bar. Mm-hmm. And if DC can meet it, they can meet it. If they don't, they don't. But that bar drives you to be better. So
yeah,
I'm hoping James Gunn does that and exceeds it, or at least meets the criteria.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely potential. It'll just be... Yeah, we'll have to see how things play out. Like, does he... What's the plan?
Yeah.
Does he try and do too much at once? Or...
Yeah. And being, like, the person in... Like, Kevin Feige the main director for every single one?
Not a director, but he was executive producer.
So...
Whatever lead mastermind.
Yeah, and that's obviously what James Gunn is doing, correct?
Yes.
So then the next question is like what you were saying, is directors, actors,
sure.
all falling into place.
Right. Time will tell. So.
Hoping it's going to be good.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
And then hopefully Marvel can bring in some big name characters soon, like the Fantastic Four and the X-Men.
Well, they are. Well, Fantastic Four are. They have a movie. They're already cast and everything.
Oh, all of those people are 100%?
Yep.
Because a lot of the times I see stuff on Facebook, I'm just like, if
if
I ask Bret's just going to say it's not.
Yeah, no. Fantastic Four is, they've already started production on that.
Who's Johnny?
Johnny is the guy who in Stranger Things who played Eddie. I'm so sorry. Joseph.
Yes.
Quinn?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you. Pedro Pascal is Mr. Fantastic.
Okay.
I'm so sorry for getting Invisible Woman and the Things actors, but yes, those four are locked and ready to go.
Good. I'm excited for Mr. Quinn because he's a good actor.
Eddie.
That was mine and Rachel's favorite character.
Oh yeah, he kicked ass.
Yeah. I'm so upset because we don't have Netflix and I want to see the newest season of it when it comes out.
You got time.
Yeah.
Just do the month. Or sidebar, sorry to bring it back to wrestling. You know WWE Monday Night Raw.
Yes! I told Rachel, like, we are getting Netflix because I'm watching
Monday Night Raw.
Because it's going to be so different than on USA, and I can't wait.
I pump the brakes. The whole separate topic. I don't know how crazy it's going to be. Because, yes, they could push the envelope. Yes, because it's Netflix. But still, it's going to be a PG product.
No, I doubt it.
John, you can't have it so different from SmackDown. And then, it's the Royal Rumble. Oh, Roman Reigns is being good to kids. And then Seth fucking Rollins. You can't just drop that, mixture? Well, Timmy's like, what?
I feel they are moving a little bit away.
It will push, they're already pushing the buttons a little bit. They'll push it a little farther. But I think people are like, it's going to be awesome.
I mean, they're talking about, like, with, like, Muscle Mommy and everything. Getting off topic. But they're talking about, like, with Rhea Mommy and Dom and, like...
Sure.
Like, it's borderline, like, you guys are talking about softcore porn over here a little bit.
It's catering to many audiences.
Yes. But, yes. I am very, very excited for the sheer fact of they can get a lot... the possibilities of them getting away with a lot of stuff is going to be really funny to watch. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be a lot of funny moments. I'm just glad that Vince is not involved in it, and it is all Triple H. Very excited for that.
Thank God.
Yeah, agree.
We'll talk about that doc next week. Oh, God. Well, everybody, this has been another episode of the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast. My name is Bret, aka Enigma 911, and today, once again, I was joined by John. John, thanks for hopping on the podcast for our 3 great topics today and side tangents.
No problem.
If you guys want to catch the podcast live, you can go over to twitch.tv/Enigma911. You can drop a follow over there. You'll get notified when we go live, so join in the fun and conversation with us. But if you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, any way you can support the show, like, shares, reviews, whatever it is. It may seem small, but it does help the channel grow, so if you take the time to do it, we would love and appreciate you for it. John, thanks for being on again. I appreciate it.
No problem.
We'll have you on soon when Billy's not slacking. No, he's working hard.
Yeah.
And extra life right around the corner. So keep an eye on things.
Wait, what were we talking about?
I don't know. Classic. Episode 1. Go back and watch that. Everybody, thanks for giving this a watch, giving it a listen, and we will see you guys on the next one. Take care.